Hello, everyone. Each year, our friends at PwC conduct a global family business survey. I'm joined by Jonathan Flack to discuss some of this year's results. We'll especially be focusing on what family businesses are expecting in the way of growth coming out of the pandemic. John, thanks for being with us. And can you tell us a little bit about the survey respondents to get us started?
Sure, David. Thanks for having us as always. And we always give Family Business Magazine a little teaser here of the survey results. We'll be launching them in April of this year. This is our 10th survey. There's more than 2,800 respondents we had in this year's survey across 87 countries. And today, you and I will discuss some of the results from the North American cut of that survey data.
The survey focused a lot on pre and post COVID growth projections and what kind of growth was experienced prior to and what they're expecting coming out of COVID. Can you talk a little bit about what family businesses were experiencing prior to the pandemic?
Sure. So the questions we asked were in the October to December of 2020 timeframe. So we were really a little bit in the midst of the pandemic. And we asked kind of two sets of questions. First, we asked how was the results of the previous year, so the 2019 fiscal year for family businesses, and those were positive. 60% of the respondents responded that they had a positive year, they had growth. Now that was a little bit down, and we saw a downward trend over the last three surveys where 67% and then down to 62, and then most recently 60% showed growth. So we were seeing a downward trend of growth for family businesses. When we asked family businesses about how their results were performing amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, we did have 47% of respondents respond that they had a downward trend in business during calendar 2020. So they were seeing a significant impact from the pandemic.
What are they projecting for this year and 2022? Are things looking better?
Much, much better. So good news on that front. So 74% of our respondents said that they expected growth in 2021. And then even as high as 94% expected growth going into 2022. So all rosy prospects going forward, which is great, which is a little bit to be expected with how far family businesses tended to see their results fall during 2020.
Well, what about their priorities? I know you asked a little bit about that over this next 2 years. Have things changed there? What are family businesses' priorities?
We always ask these questions about what are your top five priorities for the business. And we've seen trends for the answer to these be different over the years. You know, most of the time businesses are focused on new markets and new clients. That was our number one response. 56% responded that that was their number one priority. Similar to that, introducing new products and services was number three response in the top three results. So those two we would kind of categorize as very focused on the growth of the business. The other three areas of the top five really were focused on upskilling their employees. So new digital technologies, focusing on how to increase their digital capabilities, as well as changing and adapting their business model. I think we're yet to see how COVID-19 impacts businesses long term, but we do know that working will be different. We do know that the skills needed for businesses are different. I think family businesses, much like other businesses, are working to address those issues.
I know you also took a look 5 years out. Well, what kind of priorities are family companies looking at in the next half decade?
Yeah, those same themes of digitally upskilling their workforce, focusing on how to transform their business model, are all very, very important. But I think that one of the things, and this was one of the standouts for me on the focus of the business 5 years out, we really focused on what will the family's holdings look like 5 years from now? And where you had roughly 50% of the holdings of the family business today in a concentrated focused business, while the rest of that was spread between family office holdings or diversified holdings, we really see that expand over 5 years. Family businesses are really focused on diversification. They're looking to reduce the amount of concentration they have in a focused business, move more into family office or shared investments, and then also into more diversified business holdings, which is consistent with what mature family businesses look to do. But I think the urgency of the pandemic, and I think that anytime we go into a crisis, we always see where businesses begin to want to focus on diversification.
Family businesses have long been at the forefront of ESG and sustainability, even if they don't tend to call it that. I know that your survey took a look at some of these issues. Can you tell me what you found?
Yeah, David, I completely agree. ESG, the focus on their community, philanthropy have all been a key driver for family businesses. It's something that they take an enormous amount of pride in being able to support their communities. What we found in the survey is if you compared the US findings or the North American findings to the rest of the globe, North America had a much higher score on their responsibility focus around ESG. I think what's new for the U.S. and North American market is how do they communicate that externally? So reporting, being able to show results, and being able to communicate those results to the external stakeholders, to shareholders, as well as to their employees, is a newer piece for families. They've always done things philanthropic and supported their communities, but I think there's more pressure on family businesses to communicate and report that publicly, and that's an uncomfortable piece a lot for these private family businesses.
Indeed. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to share some of these preliminary results with our audience. I know more of them will appear in the pages of Family Business Magazine, and we really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, David. Take care.
You too.